Welcome to the eAcademy. In today's episode, I will present the ConFX program. It is an interesting and also very useful tool to support the installer's work. It makes selection of equipment easier and speeds up preparation of a quotation before creating the technical design of an alarm system for the investor. ConFX 2.0 is a new version of the ConFX program, well known by many installers, which we discussed with Rafe in episode 31 of the eAcademy. The most important functions of the ConFX hardware configurator are creating and editing configurations of the alarm system hardware, calculating the system current balance, cost estimation of the alarm system, generating quotations which can be emailed, printed, etc. Today, I will explain how to prepare the work area and place individual system devices on it. Before you start using the program, check whether the machine on which you will be working meets the system requirements. A computer with Windows 7 or a newer system is required. This hardware should be equipped with Intel Pentium 4, AMD Athlon 64, or a newer processor, and should have at least 512 megabytes of RAM. First, an important point: where to download ConFX from. To download it, open your web browser and visit the support.satel.eu site. Alternatively, you can also go to our company satel.eu website and find the Technical Support tab. To get access, enter your login and password. If you don't have an account yet, you can create one in a few moments. Go to the ConFX Hardware Configurator tab. Click the Download the Configurator button. Save the installation file to disk. Run the file and go through the next installation steps. After successful completion of this process, run the program. Now, an important note: each time you start ConFX, it checks whether a newer version is available. Of course, you must have internet access to connect to the server. After starting the program, you will see on the left side of the screen a menu consisting of 4 items. The first of them is New Project. Choose it to start preparing a new hardware configuration. Press Load to choose another project file which you created before, or, for example, received from someone. Select Help to open the program user guide. And use Exit to close the configurator program. Now I will create a new project. First, I enter the name. In the Settings section below, you can see the Validate Correctness of the System option. By default, it is active, which means the program will verify in real time whether the devices placed in the project are compatible with each other and whether there are still inputs or outputs available, e.g. in the control panel. If a given device requires the use of an additional module to operate, e.g. with the control panel, a prompt will be displayed. The configurator will also verify that the current consumption by devices used in the project does not exceed the output current of power supplies. Disabling this option can prove useful in situations where we want to be able to prepare any configuration, for example to expand the already existing alarm system, so as to place new additional devices on the building map and prepare a price quotation for such an expansion. The next section is Floors. It is here that we determine the size of the work area in pixels or add project maps onto which individual devices of the alarm system will be placed. I click the Load button to add the first map of building or floor. I will use sample image files available in the program. ConFX supports several of the most popular formats of image files. Next to the name of the loaded image file, its size appears in pixels. The first level will be named Ground Floor. To add more image files, click the plus button. Although the floor's name may suggest that only individual levels or stories maps of a single building can be placed here, nothing prevents you from adding to the project some maps of several buildings situated on one plot, several offices located in a large office building, etc. You only need to give such names to the maps you are using that will help you identify them. If it turns out that a map has been added unnecessarily, it can be removed easily. On the other hand, if you want a floor removed from a project, Just click on the trash can icon next to the given floor. The price list section is shown below. Here you can choose one of the available price lists. By default, in ConFX there is a template containing all items from our product portfolio, but without any prices assigned. Now, note one important point. When the new products are added to SATEL's offer, the ConFX program update will be released. Therefore, you do not have to download a new price list template nor add new positions on your own, just add the program instead. How to implement price list on the ConFX program, e.g. one created by yourself, and how to prepare a sample quotation will be shown in the next episode. To add a new project, click Create. The first level or floor map has appeared on the screen. To switch between individual floor maps, select them from the list. You can also go back to the Level, adding Deleting menu at any time. For example, to load a new image file. To do so, hover your cursor over the floor section name and click on the pencil symbol. Click the cross to close the window and return to the map. To enlarge the map view size, use the Ctrl+ keyboard shortcut. To reduce the view size, use Ctrl and minus instead. Alternatively, you can hold down the Control button and turn the mouse wheel, scroll. If the map does not fit completely to the screen, you can move it in several ways, using the arrow keys. Vertically, using the mouse wheel. Horizontally, using the mouse wheel with Shift pressed. Another way is to hold down the spacebar and drag the map with the left mouse button in any direction. In the case of touchscreens, you can navigate and resize the image using gestures known, for example, from viewing photos on a smartphone. In addition, grid lines can be shown on the work area to facilitate even distribution of system components. To do this, enter the main menu, select View, and enable the Show Grid option. The same effect can be achieved by using the Ctrl+R keyboard shortcut. By the way, in the View menu, you can display the program in full screen. To do so, you can also press F11. Now that the grid lines are already visible, the grid settings can be changed so that the individual cells have a side length of 1 meter. For this purpose, right-click on the work area and select the Change Scale option. The program prompts you to mark the length of 1 meter on the map. It is advisable to use an object on the map whose dimensions are known. So I assume that the indicated wall is just that length. Hold the left mouse button pressed. I extend the reference length. As you can see, the size of the grid cells has changed, which means the image has been resized. Now I can start placing elements of the alarm system onto the project map. To do this, I click the detector icon in the lower right corner of the program window. Individual devices are selected from the list. They are divided into several categories. The search option makes filtering easier. Searching by name is also available. I move the selected product to the map. Please note that in today's episode, I'm not focusing on preparation of a ready-to-use hardware configuration, but just presenting how to work with the program. Now I will try to put a second control panel into the project. When creating the project, the validation option was enabled, so the program displayed the message that another control panel cannot be added. Now I can place other devices onto the map, such as keypads, wired motion detectors, and magnetic contacts. To quickly view the detailed data of the device, double-click on its icon. Description and technical data are available here. Additionally, this information can be saved to a PDF file. For the motion or glass break detectors, I can enable the Show Range option. It should be remembered that the range of detectors will only be valid if our map has been correctly scaled. the range displayed can be turned on and off independently for all devices on the map, excluding those, of course, where the option is not provided. If you want to place several copies of the same device on the map, just select them on the list. And then, holding down the left Alt, click on the specific locations. Now I will try to add a sample wireless detector. Another message appears. This time the program informs you that to place such a device in the project, a wireless system controller is needed. Therefore, I choose one of the available models, e.g. ACU220. Once again, I try to add the wireless detector. As you can see, this time I can easily add even a few copies of the detector. We can note here that if a device can occupy more than one position in the system, the program will ask you how many positions to reserve. Now, an important note. ConFX assumes that hardwired detectors are connected to one control panel zone. However, for such detectors as Opal Pro, in which in addition to an alarm output, a dusk sensor output is available, the program will ask you about the number of zones to be used in the control panel. If necessary, you can select the area where several devices are located by holding down the left mouse button. You can also select few devices by pressing Ctrl and clicking on the subsequent icons. Now all selected items can be moved. Sometimes, to increase the project readability, it is advisable to group some devices. The group can then be ungrouped again. To organize the work area, I can put some devices in the enclosure. To do so, I find on the list the enclosure model that interests me and place it on the map. To check what is contained in an enclosure, I double-click on its icon. As you can see, the enclosure is still empty. Now I select the control panel and ABAX2 controller and move into it. Selected devices can be placed in the enclosure by dragging them directly from the list. I expand the content of the enclosure. And now, I will try to put it into two devices that are not compatible. As you can see, the program has highlighted them in red. When you hover the cursor over one of them, an appropriate comment appears. The selected element can be removed from the enclosure and placed separately onto the map or just deleted. Sometimes, to speed up the finding of devices of the same type in the work area, you can select them on the System Components list on the left side of the screen. This is useful, for example, when you want to remove all copies of one product from the project. Devices visible in the work area can also be divided between partitions. I will now select several detectors to be assigned to Partition 1, others to Partition 2, still others to Partition 3. I click on a blank area to disable the Select option. Now in the Partition menu, I can enable or disable the visibility of devices assigned to individual partitions by clicking on the selected numbers. I have unchecked all partitions, so the only visible system elements are those that have been not or cannot be assigned to partitions. This feature is especially useful for complex projects with many devices. In addition, it makes it easier to visualize and explain to the investor the idea of dividing the system into partitions. That's all for today. In the next episode, the current balance function and the price lists will be discussed, as well as how to prepare a quotation and documentation for the alarm system hardware configuration project created in ConFX. Thank you for your attention, and see you soon.